James Beard once said, "Food is our common ground, a universal experience." A meal is often prepared with love, as its sole intent is to fill and warm the soul. For members of Team USVI, their respective journeys into food began in the kitchen at home with their loved ones.
Man, I got into bartending kind of naturally. My family has always been very social. I've always, been around liquor. I started making drinks in the household, was very young. My first drink that I learned how to make was a vodka martini and a vodka tonic, because that's what my father drinks, and, want to make him a drink. So that's kind of the foundation.
I've been cooking and baking since I was tall enough to reach the stove. I used to do a lot of that with my grandmother, who's passed away now, but I still, I just stuck with it.
I got into culinary arts from a child. My mom, I always say, could burn water, and I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but that's really where the intrigue came. I always would go out to eat with them, and when we were out to dinner, I always picked the highest priced item. But it wasn't about it being the highest priced, it was just like the lobster or the steak, and I didn't get those things at home. So from a youth, I was very intrigued, and that basically played a huge role in me being where I am now.
I got into cooking when I was, I would say, 11, just like cooking with mom, cooking with grandma, and having like great food, and I think that inspired me.
My dad was a chef, so I always been around cooking, so I just picked it up after that.
My mom is from Tatola, and I guess how she was raised, it was, you must be hands-on, and whatever I know, you must learn. So whatever she knew, she taught me. So I couldn't just sit down and do nothing. Whenever she was cooking, she made me cook with her. Whenever she was doing anything, I had to do it with her. So I just got accustomed to it, and then I fell in love with it. And I guess when she was busy or she couldn't cook, then I would cook dinner or whatever. And just the satisfaction of people actually enjoying what you made.
From young, I had always liked cooking, like for my nephew and stuff. I used to cook for him, cook for my little cousins, and I was like, I really want to get into cooking and stuff. So I never really get to go to school, but it was just something I always loved.
And while their respective experiences may vary, it manifested into a career that literally feeds tens of thousands of visitors and VI residents alike. It's still that first initial moment in the kitchen that has transferred to love of country and representing their islands to the fullest. This is Taste of the Caribbean, Team USVI. While bartender Frank Robinson and chef Michael Matthew wrapped up their vodka and beef competitions with satisfaction, a third member of the team remained in the heat of the battle. Pastry chef Natalie Buckner was hard at work in the Pastry Chef of the Year competition. The individual Chef of the Year competitions is like the crown jewel for chefs and bartenders alike. And usually, chefs have a few days to get warmed up, learn the kitchen, and get mentally prepared for such a huge event. Natalie, however, ended up with probably the most grueling schedule of the bunch.
She had Pastry Chef on the Year on the first day, and this was a PM event. She came out of the kitchen at 11 p.m. Then we had cheesecake at 8 a.m., which is a 4-hour event as well. And then we had team competition at 2 p.m.
I feel bad for Natalie this year because they kind of they worked her. Her competitions were all back to back, in the evening one night, then in the morning, and then in the afternoon. So, she got worked.
Natalie on this competition has probably had one of the most intense schedules from, you know, right off the bat, she had to compete for Pastry Chef of the Year, right off the bat, you know? And then they critique you on it and stuff, and it's like, I think it would have been a lot more appropriate if that would have been later in the competition, because the whole point of critiquing you is so that when you get to your, you know, very, and you know, serious competition like Pastry Chef of the Year, you know, have gotten a little bit idea of what the judges are looking for, you know, especially in such a particular competition.
Natalie had 4 hours to prepare 8 servings of her dessert for the Pastry Chef of the Year event.
So for the Pastry Chef of the Year competition, you have 4 hours to make 8 regular size portions of a dessert. For pastry, we submit whatever it is we want to make at least 2 months in advance for them to source our ingredients. So this is something that, you know, I've been practicing over the previous months. And it might sound easy because you can make the same cake over and over and over again, but then when you get here, it could be a different story. The oven could be running too high, somebody could have turned up the oven, they burn your cake. When you're practicing, you know, within your resort or in your own kitchen, it's a totally different feeling. Plus, you know, I was a ball of nerves, so I was shaking half the time.
She was super nervous in the first event, but she remembered again what we trained for. She remembered all the things we went through. She was the most organized person. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to go in the back for the pastry competition, even the team captain's not, which I personally are not agreeing with, because even if you need something or something, one thing is when you're working in front in this ballroom on the kitchens and you forget something, you have teammates there and can say, hey, listen, I need some more gloves, or can you organize me a spoon? That's a possibility. Pastry, there's no way that you can go in the back or help anybody. They need to be complete there and they're not allowed to leave. This is a little bit complicated in my opinion. Do they have to do this? Yes, maybe. But again, I cannot see anything of the event what she's doing, so I really don't know how she did. I saw the product or the plates she brought out were beautiful. So, but I mean, she's very organized and she will do her way as well.
So when we came in, we got our equipment, we set up everything. 5 o'clock on the dot, we started. So that was just make whatever it is you have to make within that time. By 9 p.m., you had to be done plating. They took preference over the dessert plates that had ice cream, which one of those plates was mine, to where I plated up everything by 9 o'clock, and they allowed us to scoop the ice cream on afterwards without a penalty, just so the presentation and things would look nicer as they got out to the judges. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. You just try to focus on you and not what other people are doing in the kitchen. Just try and stay as professional as possible. You know, if you see something burning, you know, it is a competition, but like to a point, hey, your stuff's burning, you're gonna burn down the kitchen, you know, those kind of things. But a few teams didn't finish on time, and you know, I finished on time. Everything wasn't exactly as I planned it to be, but in cooking, in pastry, nothing ever is. So you just kind of have to adapt, adjust, and fix the plate the best way that you can.
Having representation from each island in this year's competition inspired Natalie's dessert.
So this year is the first year that we've had people from all 3 islands, St. John, St. Croix, and St. Thomas. So I tried to use a combination of the 3 islands as far as flavors. So all of us use coconut, that's, you know, that's the new trend or whatever. And, you know, something with pineapple and guava. I used some Crucian passion fruit and also some of the local chocolate, cocoa sticks that we have, which it kind of differs from regular chocolate because it's more natural and it has like a caramelized kind of coffee flavor, which I think really paired nicely with everything. And I had a soursop ice cream and I had a lot of stuff on it. But those are the main flavors that I use. Coconut, guava, pineapple, passion fruit, and soursop. Those are the main flavors. And from what I've heard, they said the coconut cake was amazing. So, I used bananas as well.
Natalie's dessert was a coconut cake with caramelized bananas and pineapple coral, served with raspberry compote, passion fruit sauce, frozen Virgin Islands cocoa tea soufflé, passion fruit gelée, soursop ice cream, guava pearls, caramel tuile, and fresh mint. Natalie's dessert hit the spot with chefs on the floor who were able to taste her creation.
It feels good and bad. I feel bad because one of the judges dropped the presentation plate as it was going out, but she's a judge, so you know, it is what it is. But I mean, it feels good to know that, you know, taste is a big portion of the scoring. So yes, it does need to look pretty and all of that, but it could look as beautiful as you want. If it tastes nasty, then, you know, it doesn't make any sense. So it felt good to know that they really enjoyed the cake, that even other islands, other teams, when we passed out the tasting samples, were like fighting to try to taste a piece. I mean, my team always fights over like the ice cream and cake and stuff I make in practice, but to know that other teams wanted to really try it and were interested in it, you know, it kind of gives you a little confidence and calms my nerves for the next competition.
Natalie had a good showing. Like I said, she's an excellent pastry chef. She delivers flavors very well, and her techniques are spot on.
She's been doing really good. She's super organized. I think for me, like, I want to take away from Natalie focus and like time management. Like, she's so good at that and she's so organized. And I just try to let her know, like, you know, if you need anything, like, put the stress on us. We'll get it for you. We're here for you. You know, just tell me what you need and I'll take care of it. And just keep working, you know, keep moving. And that kind of leads into the basis of even the team competition.
I mean, she's very, very organized. I think she did a really good job in everything what she did.
I thought she did a beautiful presentation with it. The only thing I'd be a little bit concerned about was that in her critiques, the judges were kind of talking about tuiles, which is like a really thin cookie that a lot of people used to like make them in spoons, or they used to do different shapes, and you know, they make them in bowls and put sorbet in them, all kinds of stuff. But I guess the judges in one of the critiques with her said that, you know, tuiles are kind of done. That's not really a trend anymore. I don't really agree with that, but you know, I think that's the only thing that you can really take away from it is maybe we could have left the tuile off.
It was now up to the judges to decide if she would medal in the event. In the seafood competition, Chef Eddie McNamara was up to bat. This was Eddie's first time competing at Taste of the Caribbean, and as such, he was a ball of nerves. His love for his home island, St. Croix, led him to a career in culinary arts.
Well, actually, my title is I'm a combination welder pipe fitter, but with the closing of the refinery and all of that stuff, I had to think of another career, and I didn't really want to leave St. Croix, so I guess I fell into I was actually doing construction and bussing tables for Blue Water Terrace, and one day I asked to prep in the kitchen, and that's how it started. I started prepping. It was Thanksgiving, so it was like it was a lot of preparation with the overnight preparation, so then I started to prep and learning to use the knives and all that stuff, and people were impressed by my work ethic and willing to learn and willing to do extra. I kind of like to see something come from nothing, so maybe that's where it came from. And food is we always need to eat food, colorful food, pretty. You can always do what you want with it, so you can always appreciate somebody else's work or your work, especially in the both fields are different. But you still put stuff together. Like when you welding, is always something comes together from nothing. So I think that's where my appreciation for the culinary arts come from.
In the seafood competition, Eddie was given a mystery basket. Again, chefs go into the competition knowing what's available to them on the community table, but they have no clue what protein they are going to get.
It was a mystery basket, and so when the chef brought out to me shrimp and crab, dealing with that enough at my restaurant, I kind of had ideas already flowing through my head, but it still was like whoa, like again, my first day, and every day was okay until I sat down and realized that right in front of the door that I could have been next to be called to go and start to get prepared for the event. And my heart was racing, my thoughts were scattered, and then I went in and like feeling good, and then I still had this. Then he puts out shrimp and crab, and doing that, I just didn't want to continue doing the same thing like I do at my restaurant or whatever, or the restaurant I work to, and but I still got my thoughts cleared, went out, prepped everything really nice and everything.
Once Eddie opened his mystery basket, the nervousness calmed down a bit. Eddie prepared a Caribbean spiced shrimp with a passion fruit beurre blanc and mango relish. Eddie also prepared crab-stuffed jalapeno peppers. While things were going well in the preparation of the Caribbean spiced shrimp, things started to fall apart with the stuffed jalapeno peppers.
I would have normally probably gone towards crab cakes or something, you know, and then I thought about stuffing something, so I took jalapenos, which probably wasn't the best idea because they didn't fully cook in the oven. But yeah, so I should have had another thought about doing with the crab, but it wasn't bad. I know it could have been better, so that's part of why I'm kicking myself. And like again, I said I'm my own worst critique, and I beat myself up. But they had like again some small issues because there's a shared oven, and between me and another chef, and in the rules they state that you should not tamper with the oven because you are sharing the oven. And when I went to put my jalapenos, my crab stuffed jalapenos in the oven, the oven was hot. But then when I turned around to expect it to be cooked right when I was plating, the breadcrumbs on top had a little color in, but I knew at the moment that I was not. My dish wasn't finished.
While Eddie could have easily cast blame on his fellow chef, he decided to own it, taking full responsibility for the mishap.
Man.
Think it all through, because unfortunately we need to consider that as not used, right?
Yeah, he's good.
You're good. Take a deep breath. You need another water?
Yes.
Yes.
So I was a little upset about that, but I hate to throw blame on people about anything, so I still plated it, and the chef Michael, he told me that the jalapeno was a little raw, and I knew it from the coloring, from like the skin didn't crisp up or any wrinkles. I knew what I was putting out was bad, but it comes with the territory, and we gotta just be prepared next time. I should have probably looked back and checked the oven, but expecting because of the rules, I didn't look back again. But I blame myself for that. I'm not blaming anybody about that situation.
You're standing there and thinking, oh my God, why didn't you do this? But it's in principle, it's the same. You're seeing a TV show. You are in jeopardy. You're sitting at home in your television and say, that's so easy, why you didn't figure it out? But when you're sitting actually in front of everybody and have to come to the answer, that's a difficult part. So of course you see things, for example, what was very good is he was writing his menu in time, he was organized, he had his stuff together. He had a very solid plan, which he followed through. Then little mistakes happens when you are stressed. For example, in the plating phase, he had one glove instead of two gloves. So he plated with a glove, he had holding the spoon, he plated, and the hand he had non-glove. He touched the food. That's a point minus. But this is, again, you do it 1,000 times at home and nothing happens. You're in a competition, you just forget because the time pressure is there. He was ready in time. I think the judges were pretty pleased with the plate. But Eddie is a young cook. I mean, he has a lot of talent. And this is pretty much for everybody. All of them are very young, and that's why we're here to support them. And that's why when you are in a competition situation, it helps you a lot to develop yourself, because when you work really on your own, you don't have a chef next to you, it's your own plate, then it's much easier to showcase yourself. Because in most of the kitchens there are people like me and saying, hey, look, do me a plate. Okay, my cooks do a plate, I check it. If I don't like it, I change it how I want to. In a competition, you really can bring out the things you actually like. And it's your own, like I said, it's your own creation. And like I said, he did pretty well all over, I think. But a few tweaks needs to be done there, here and there. But like I said, it's just, I think there were minor mistakes, in my opinion.
My plate was out on time and everything. I still had a little bit of disappointment in myself. So I guess they say you're your worst critique, but yeah, I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit for just because I know I could do a lot better and I could have been a little bit more prepared. So, and I blame myself for a little bit of little mishaps.
While it wasn't an easy day for Team USVI in the seafood competition, there was no time to dwell in the shortcoming, as they now had to pull together for the first big team competition. Team USVI was now about to face the critique of not only the judges, but the foodies of the Miami area who purchased tickets to come and taste the Caribbean. Setting their sights on gold, there was no time to chase ghosts, as it was time to step up to the plate with no looking back.